So how to choose a property lawyer for your power team? That's the subject of today's Property Answers, the show that provides answers to your burning property-related questions. And I'm joined, as usual, by the one and only John Howard. How are you doing, John?
That's very nice. That's a nice introduction. You didn't say my friend, I noticed.
Oh, yeah.
But you did say the one and only, which, one and only could be taken both ways. But anyway, carry on.
So, how to find a property lawyer? I mean, there's Joe Smith that has a office above the Chippy. I was thinking about going to him. What's your
Well, I'm not
tips?
surprised because you don't like paying a lot of money for anything, Ranjan, so that would explain it.
His cheapest chips.
Yeah, cheapest chips. Boom, boom. Oh, goodness me, that's one of your better jokes, to be fair, Ranjan. So, it's an interesting subject because over the years, this has changed. And the reason solicitors and the size of them has changed. I mean, there's three different types of solicitors in my view. There's the traditional solicitor that most of them are now coming to retirement, which is the one that I've got, to be honest with you, probably. Then there's the solicitors that I call them factory solicitors, the ones where you never want to touch them in my view, because basically it's like a big factory of 50 people with one solicitor who's qualified, who signs everything off at the end. They won't do you any favours at all when it comes to, making decisions and advising you, in my view. They don't advise anyone, they just do the work. And then you've got the bigger solicitor that you probably have to use these days when you're dealing with a lot of these bridges, because the bridges companies and the banks tend to insist now that there's a partnership of a certain size, or they've got a certain amount of insurance and all the rest of it. So that has changed things a little bit, and they are very expensive lawyers.
That's true. I mean, you do end up with different lawyers for different tasks.
Yes, I agree.
And sometimes you obviously end up using a lawyer that the lender appoints to do their side. Sometimes they need to be on a panel.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I just find that crazy.
But sometimes it's also task-led, such as doing commercial leases
and it depends on the size. I mean, when we did the development in Ipswich, 150 flats, borrowing 20 million off Homes England, you need to tool up because they've got a top lawyer in London dealing with it, and you need a top lawyer to deal with it, a regional lawyer, a regional size lawyer, I would say, at least, to deal with it. Otherwise, with all due respect to a one-man band, they're never going to cope. And that, and the fees for doing that, for organising the loan and the construction contract was over £100,000. We paid our lawyers for that.
So what are you looking for in a good property lawyer? What attributes?
Well, first of all, I want a relationship with that solicitor I use. I don't want them to use, with all due respect, the assistant. If I'm paying decent money to a lawyer, I expect to deal with them. I expect them to email me back within an hour or 2 hours of me emailing them and say, John, I can't deal with it now, but I'll come back to you later, or something. I don't want to be ignored. I don't want to use a lawyer who is going on sabbatical for 6 months, or maternity leave, or paternity leave. I need someone who is full-time and is going to be committed to me. I won't be the most important client they've got, but I want to feel that I am.
I think you raised some very, very good points. I think when you are, particularly when you're doing a purchase or something like that, or a sale, and all the action is going to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I would find out if your lawyer has got any holidays booked.
Spot on, absolutely. So important.
Because they're going to just pass the baton.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And it really, really is important. And that relationship you have, the trust you have. I've been blessed really with a guy called Mark Hayward, who I've worked with for 35 years. He's now on holiday more times than he's working, but that's another story. So if he says to me, John, if I say to him, I need this done, I need this bought within 3 days, he'll do it. I'm spoilt in that respect. I accept that. However, if he says to me, John, there's a problem with this, and I go, is it really a problem, or are you being a pussy? And he goes, no, John, this is a serious problem. You shouldn't buy it. I won't buy it. So, but that's trust in a relationship that I've got with him. And one of the questions I always ask, and everything well, not everything, but most of the properties that people are going to buy that are watching this show are going to have a problem, some sort of a problem, because that's how you get a discount, that's how you make money. But
Absolutely.
it's a problem you've got to be able to solve. And the question you should always ask your solicitor is this. When they go, oh, you shouldn't be buying this or this business, is this. Is it mortgageable?
Yes.
If it's not mortgageable, and I can buy it on a bridge, that's okay. But when I come to sell it, is it mortgageable? Can you sort the legal problem out? And if the answer is no, you can't sort it out, then don't bloody buy it. Simple as that. But you need to ask the lawyers this question, because lawyers can either make you a lot of money, they can save you a lot of money. You need to have that relationship with a solicitor that you trust, and they're pleased that you've made money. I had a solicitor once, many years ago, a solicitor we used to use, and he rang me and said, oh, I've got an invoice here for $15,000 from the agent. I said, he said, it must be a mistake, is it? £15,000. No, I said, it's correct. He said, well, I'm only charging you $5,000. I said, that's right, Douglas. You've done the paperwork and the agent has sold it for me and made the money. And he wasn't happy. And you know what? I've never used him since. Because you need a solicitor that is pleased that you're making money. He or she wants to be part of that relationship you have, and that going forward, that you're doing it together. That's really important.
Absolutely. I think, going on to some of the pitfalls, I think,
Yeah.
when I was talking about, one of the dangers, I think, is if someone's going on holiday, and this has happened so many times.
Drives me nuts.
They pass it on to someone else,
Yep.
and they're doing their own work as well.
They don't want to know, do they?
And
Let's be
I
honest.
think they're in cricket, I would call them night watchmen.
Absolutely.
Not get out, ones and twos,
Yep.
and do nothing special.
Yep, spot on.
And that's not very, very good cricket.
No,
It's not very good.
I'm not interested in those people.
Not interested in that. I think the other thing that happens invariably throughout my career is I've dealt with someone very good. They get promoted up the ranks and they start becoming partner and all the rest of it. And then the partnership, being a partner, is about growing the business and growing
Absolutely.
billable hours
Going out
and
for
having
lunch,
people
basically, and playing golf.
and having people under you.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when you discuss the thing, and,
Yeah.
and remember, we're dealing with solution to problems, as you
Exactly.
said, and the
quick-
paralegal
and quickly.
exactly, and the paralegal simply does not have that expertise.
I don't want to use anyone
Exactly.
who's learning on the job. I'm not
Exactly.
being nasty. I'm not being unkind. And people will probably email in and say, "Oh, John Howard's this, that, and the other, and he's mean." And I get accused of being mean. I can never.
No, but
believe that.
in this case,
but
we're
you-
dealing with problem properties that needs that experience.
I don't want to have someone cutting their teeth
Yeah.
on my properties. I want someone who knows what they're bloody doing.
And the other thing I wanted to raise with you is fixed fees as opposed to hourly rates.
Yes.
Now, I have found, particularly with commercial leases,
Yes.
and I've dealt with, I always get a fixed fee. And we've got
what-
someone on the other side.
That does not surprise me. Go on.
We've got someone on the other side,
Yep.
and they haven't got a fixed fee.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just gone on and on and
Yeah,
on and on.
yeah.
And then nowadays I advise them, unless they're a big company, they don't
Yeah.
need my advice. But if they're just a mom and pop shop or something, I say get a fixed fee.
Yeah,
Because this is
absolutely.
just going to wind on and on and on, and
Absolutely.
sometimes the deal can be lost.
Yes.
Or the bill can be way too much.
Yes.
Sometimes it's 4 times as much as I'm paying.
This is the deal I have. I get a fixed price, and if they say, "Oh, John, yeah, we gave you a fixed price of £4,000, but it actually comes to 7 on time," I go, "Well, there you go. You should have done it a bit quicker. I'm sorry, but it swings and roundabouts. You others that you do less on. That's how it is. Don't let them
yes.
start to backtrack, because they'll try and backtrack and get £7,000 off you when you agreed 4. The other thing I do is always agree abortive fees before I start.
Yes.
So I say I'll give you 50% of the abortive fees. Now, let me tell you a little story. Back in 1993, 3, property recession, we never got charged for abortive fees, ever. We were doing we were selling about 200 odd units a year. We were flying. We never got charged for abortive fees. As soon as that property market did that, and we weren't doing 200 houses or buying and selling 200 properties a year, we're selling 50, guess what? We got a bill for 120,000 quid. oh, this is for the abortive work we've done for you. Hang on a minute, I said. This was all going to be free. Oh, well, they trawled it. They went back 4 years trawling all this stuff because they need the money. They were in trouble. The solicitor was in trouble, financially in trouble, and wanted us to bail them out, basically. I think we agreed 30 grand with them in the end. And they said, well, can you pay straight away? I said, yeah, you can have the money tomorrow.
I think it's very important to, what I do, I think we're talking about the same thing, is just agree a rate card.
Yeah.
So a rate card for fixed fees for different types of services that you're providing, and of course what happens if they're aborted, and who's going to do the work.
Absolutely, I want to make sure it's the partner doing the work.
Yes.
And the other thing I would say, it's much easier, like we said in a previous episode here, it's much easier to negotiate before you start and get it agreed and fixed than it is at the end to start squabbling, because you want a good relationship with your solicitor. That relationship between you and your solicitor is the same relationship that you should have as if it's a football club, between the manager and the chairman. That has to be a very close relationship. You need to trust each other, and you need to both work together and respect each other. Very important. Respect is very, very important. That partnership can make you a lot of money, or it can lose you a lot of money.
And it has to be, I do believe, I end up with having very good relationships with my lawyers and have mobile numbers and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you respect that.
Don't abuse them.
Of course not.
Don't abuse them. That's the key. If you have to,
it's there if you need it.
If you need it,
really need it.
And on occasions, you say, I'm really sorry to have to text you on Sunday morning, whenever it is, but I just need to know about this or whatever. That's fair enough, I think. But do not pester them with phone calls. They will respect you if you respect them.
We've touched on this previously, but I think the essential for a property investor is a lawyer that's not just transactional, because there are lots of people that sit above high street shops that are just used to dealing with first-time buyers and non-problem properties. No. Our properties have problems. They have strange covenants on them. They have funny things in the leases. They have things that just need to be resolved. Yeah. That's why you are engaging with them. They have things that, and they need to have solutions. What kind of things you can insure against, what kind of things they can get rid of, what kind of things they can apply to the land registry to deal with.
Do you know what they need to be?
Go on.
A frustrated property developer stroke investor. They've probably got 1 or 2 properties, but that's how they want to be. A solicitor, on the whole, is never going to be brave enough to do what we do. Never going to be brave enough.
Yeah.
However, you want them to enjoy it, and you want them to enjoy the challenge. You don't want a solicitor smart ass and gets you into trouble, but you do want one that is at that level, likes dealing with unravelling problems and finding solutions quickly and in a professional manner. That's what you're looking for.
Yes. So it's a balance a little bit. You've got to have that individual relationship. You've got to have that bond. You've got to have that understanding. So are you favouring more smaller firms for that sort of bespoke service, or larger firms where they've got 70 odd partners and offices all over the place?
Well, I've tended to follow my solicitor around I followed him around, and now he's set his own business up quite a few years ago. He's got 60 odd staff now. So I've followed him around. To be honest with you, find a good one, you can follow them around. The problem is if they join a very big firm, then they have to charge probably quite a lot of money. Now, I'm probably at that level on occasions when we can afford to pay that level. And not everyone's as fortunate as we are in that respect. But it is about a personal relationship. And if you find a good one, then you can keep them for many, many years, as I have. Many years. And
what we're saying is the same thing. It's a good solicitor that you're dealing with.
It's the person rather than the business.
Exactly.
Rather than the firm.
Exactly. The name and the badge on the door.
It's all very well.
But it's all very well. Yeah. But it's whether that personality type is problem solving, as we mentioned.
Absolutely.
Proactive as opposed to reactive.
Yes.
The one thing I hate ever hearing, and no lawyer lasts long with me if they say this, is...
Take note, please, every lawyer watching this. Take note.
You ask them a question, and they say, I sent them an email about this 10 days ago on, March or whatever.
Get on the bloody...
so what? Sending them the email out 10 days ago is not
Do you know what I say?
the solution to my problem.
Get on the bloody phone.
Exactly. So where's the follow-up been since then? So that's a reactive. But, you know, a proactive is someone obviously that's done a little bit more than that.
Are we sounding like grumpy old men?
I think we are sounding like people that really, I think, don't suffer fools gladly, because you know that if you have fools in your power team, then you ain't going to perform and achieve any results.
They're a weak link. You can't afford a weak link.
And it's a massive weak link. Yeah. And I think the other elephant in the room here is that when you have a lawyer, the other side has also got a lawyer. So a lot depends on their lawyer as well.
It does do, but that's where personal relationships come in. If you've got a solicitor that's personable and can speak to the other side, how are you getting on, Martin, or Ellie, or whatever, how are you getting on? They need a personal relationship.
Yes.
They need to be good at that as well, because look, I know you're busy, but I'm really trying to get this through this week. Is there any chance? And why, by the way, tell me this, why, and perhaps people could email in on this one as well, why does every bloody solicitor want to exchange contracts or complete on a Friday? What is wrong with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Because let me tell you, I've had deals that have fallen through on the Monday morning because we didn't exchange on the Friday, and they got to Monday morning and they've either died in a car accident, they've either found out they're not well, they've decided that they want to split up, or the husband or wife's found out that they're having an affair.
You've had all of that?
I've had all of those things.
Over the weekend?
All over those things happening, and the deal falls through. So bloody well get it exchanged as quick as possible. If you can exchange on a Monday before the Friday, do so. Why do they want to leave it to the bloody Friday?
I agree with that.
Drives me nuts.
There's no reason why it should. I mean, earliest possible time, basically.
And remember, if you're going to speak to a solicitor, don't speak to them on a Friday, because it's their busiest day, because they're looking to exchange or complete deals.
Yes. And I also think it's about having a little bit of wider subject matter expertise that the lawyers need to have. For example, you know, if you're buying more than 6 properties in a transaction, you expect them to know that there are ways of doing the stamp duty. And the other area that comes up all the time with commercial properties is is things with capital allowances, and the seller's side trying to limit the amount that you can claim by putting a £1 limit on, and your solicitor not pushing back on that and trying to negotiate that in your favour. And they just they just sort of pass it by or ignore it for an easier life. They need to be batting your corner and looking out for those opportunities on your behalf.
I always want a solicitor that says to me, I'm not happy with this, I'm not happy with this, and this, John.
Yes.
And I go, ooh, let's accept that one, let's not accept that one, and let's negotiate on the third.
Yes.
That's what I want. I want them to be tough, and then I want to be the one saying,
yes,
let's just settle down a little bit here. Let's give them a little bit, because we want to get the deal through, and so on. And I agree with you. You want them to be tough, and then you want to be the one actually softening, if you like, rather than the other way around.
Yes.
Very good point.
Yes.
Very good point.
Ultimately, that you want them to bring out all the warts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want them to miss any out.
You decide. You're the captain of the ship at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're the one that's going to decide whether you accept it or not accept it.
So to wrap up, John, the lawyer above the chip shop, you wouldn't recommend?
Depends how good they are, but unfortunately, the single partner now above a chip shop probably cannot act for you when you're borrowing money, and that's the biggest problem they've got. They need to have some of these banks now want at least 4 partners, or they want this, or they want that. And that's the difficulty you have. Because
they think that single partner is just a bit fishy, I guess. On that bombshell, we'll wrap it up for today. For this episode of Property Answers, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think about what it takes to find us a great lawyer for your power team in the comments below. See you guys next time. The Baker Street Property Meet is the UK's largest and #1 property investors networking event. The property market is going through monumental change right now, and at Baker Street Property Meet we aim to keep you up to date with the latest tips and tricks and insider tactics to help you keep on top of your property investing game and succeed in these
troubled economic times. The Baker Street Property Meet is fundamentally about networking, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And at Baker Street, we aim to connect you with the people to make your property journey a monumental success. There's no better place to be to further your property investment journey than the Baker Street Property Meet. So make sure you're here, you're connecting with myself and Andrew Roberts, our expert guest speakers, and 300 passionate property people each and every month. See you at the next meet. Get your spot at bakerstreetpropertymeet.com.